Yes, it's working, honestly. Hi, everyone. Just waiting for everybody to jump on. But I will be doing the live forecast for January. I think it's about that time. It is the 4th, and my only regret is I didn't do this forecast sooner. But better late than never. We're still in early January, so that's not a big deal. But I have to say that the Wolf Moon is very eventful. Again, a lot of changes are really happening for the collective right now. A lot of stories around um s- around like love and finances are being let go of at the moment. But hey guys, what's up? Hi Bridget, hi Esme. So here is our January forecast. So we got two people, so we can start. All right, so here is Divine Feminine for early January. Divine Feminine is actually letting go of a lot of old pain stored in the trauma body. And this is actually related to ancestral trauma. There is massive ancestral trauma being cleared on the Divine Feminine's end right now. So the Divine Feminine is getting to the root cause of certain triggers, such as the fear of not being enough and the fear of not being chosen. This is rooted in ancestral trauma. So as the Divine Feminine continues to work on getting out of the masculine woman template, this is breaking open her heart so that she can really be in that state of unconditional love. And I feel as though what's really happening right now is that she's transmuting all this old pain. Like there might be some triggers that are coming up the Divine Feminine thought she already dealt with. But what's happening is she's peeling back those ancestral layers right now. She is peeling back psyche so she can see how her ancestors formed limited beliefs that she didn't even know were there. So I feel as though what's going on for the Divine Feminine right now is that she is really opening up her heart space at this moment in time. As she lets go of that armor that she inherited, this causes her to really shift into a more secure attachment style. And as the Divine Feminine lets go of that particular pain of the past, this is causing her to really become more heart centered. A lot of Divine Feminines are really unlearning that false belief that love is painful, that love is hard, that love is not in the cards for them. Again, as they end up reprogramming their subconscious mind to really, again, to accommodate this change, this causes a lot of Divine Feminines to really reflect on their relationship with love. I feel so a lot of Divine Feminines are having fears like around the Divine Masculine not coming back, also having fears around maybe this connection not being potentially one sided. I feel as though a lot of Divine Feminines right now are really letting go of those residual fears right now. She is really getting to the root of particular triggers right now in early January. And as the Divine Feminine ends up opening up her heart space to really trust in this new beginning, this is causing her to really again heal the receiving wound. The receiving wound is going to be worked on in early January by the Divine Feminine, and I feel as though the Wolf Moon has actually brought up a lot of triggers around receiving. So as the Divine Feminine ends up letting go of those particular triggers, this is causing the Divine Feminine to really again be in the heart space. And I'm seeing again the Divine Feminine is going to continue to peel back the layers of the ego when it comes to ancestral trauma. And I feel as though as she ends up healing that ancestral trauma at a very deep level, this is really going to cause her to really be in that heart based thinking. So the reason why this is coming up is because the Divine Feminine is really letting go of that fear based thinking that caused her to think that maybe love wasn't in the cards for her, that maybe she is not secure or supported by the divine. It varies, but I feel so a lot of the Divine Feminines are really, again, really trusting in the divine right now. The fears that they once had, they're no longer as prevalent as they once were. Again, these fears feel very far away for the Divine Feminine right now. And I do see, again, this is a very good thing because the Divine Feminine is no longer being in activeness. She is no longer being in that fear based thinking that she is in this all alone. Again, the wound of separation will also be cleared in early January for the divine feminine. So I feel as though this has to do with trusting the divine rather than love itself. Because as the divine feminine ends up healing this particular trigger, I feel as though triggers around the wound of separation and related to trusting the divine is going to be coming up around the 6th and the 7th. A lot of divine feminines are going to be releasing anxiety and a lot of sadness around like trusting love, trusting the divine. And I feel as though the divine feminine is really going to be letting go of that old timeline. Again, she is midway between a timeline jump right now. And what the divine feminine really needs to bear in mind is that, again, she's about to upgrade. She's about to elevate to the next level. And I feel as though everything that is not of love is going to be flushed out. I feel as though, like, as it becomes the middle of January, the divine feminine is really going to be healing ancestral trauma around this ancestral trauma around duty and obligation. So this brings me to the middle of January. So ancestral trauma is still going to be healed by the divine feminine, but it has to do with duty and obligation. For the divine feminines who are in a karmic situation, who are in a third party situation, there's going to be a lot of heavy duty and obligation trauma that is being like transmuted. And as the divine feminine starts to see where duty and obligation does not equal choosing themselves, this is going to really redefine what they view as dutiful, what they viewed as a role to society. Divine feminine is going to continue to really work on her heart space. And I feel as though what she's really trusting is trusting that her heart is guiding her right, that her heart is making her, like, really trust in the connection with the divine masculine. I feel as though she's going to be tested around the 11th and 12th. I feel as though something in relation to the divine masculine is coming up and it's going to very much trigger the divine feminine. But I do see, again, divine feminine needs to bear in mind in order to pass this test is that if she reacts as the version of herself that's not chosen and prioritized, then she will fail that test. So what she really needs to do is to remember to remain in that story that she is chosen, supported, and loved by the divine and love itself. So I feel as though what's really going on for the divine feminine is that she needs to really heal that fear of disappointment. Again, this is coming up. And the reason why the fear of disappointment is coming up for divine feminine in the middle of January is because the divine feminine needs to really believe in faith. She needs to trust her heart. She needs to not look at the outside as confirmation, or I mean not confirmation, validation, or sign that things are moving. Because things are not going to be what they seem in the middle of January, and that's part of the test. The divine feminine must trust her inner knowing above all. I am seeing a lot of repressed emotions in relation to duty and obligation are coming up. And again, this is bringing up the theme of self abandonment. So the abandonment wound will be triggered around the 14th and the 15th. And this is meant to happen because the divine feminine is meant to heal that rift between the heart and the head. And the more she heals the rift between the heart and the head, the more the feminine, no, sorry, I meant divine feminine. Divine feminine really feels the divine masculine. So I feel as though, again, that wound of separation between the divine feminine and divine masculine is going to be healed over between the 15th and the 19th. Again, I feel as though a lot of deep anger and sadness in relation to love is going to be coming up during that time frame. And so some of you may be really upset with your divine masculine, but it's not really your divine masculine you're upset at. He is just a scapegoat for these deeper emotions that you've been recycling since childhood. A lot of inner child trauma is going to be coming up between the 15th and the 19th, and it's going to blow you away as to what you're really holding on to. But I feel as though as you, divine feminine, lets go of this particular anger, sadness, sorrow, all of it is coming up so that you can very much collapse the old timeline. So what the divine feminine also needs to bear in mind is that she is going to really be called to really like heal the rejection wound as well. The reason why the rejection wound is being healed, so that the divine feminine can again really trust in the process at the moment. This is going to seem as though is I'm hearing like it's not going to make sense right now, but it will make sense around that time, that she needs to trust. She needs to believe that she is being redirected to her for her best and highest good. And so what the divine feminine is really being called to really remember is that this is coming up. This is coming up so that she can really again surrender and really trust the process even more. I'm seeing control blocks being cleared around the 18th and the 19th, and that is happening so that the divine feminine could really let go and step out of that masculine woman template. The dark feminine is going to be healed from the 14th to the 20th. And the reason why this is going to be healed so that the divine feminine could unlearn that people pleasing, that tendency to self sacrifice, that tendency to like overgive, self-sacrifice, all of that. So this is really happening so that the divine feminine can really trust in what in this unfolding of things. So I'm seeing that as the divine feminine, I think the moon is around this time. And feeling again new moon energy is really coming in very strongly, and I feel as though this is because the new moon in Capricorn is really going to help the divine feminine to let go of any residual past life trauma related to the fear of not being chosen slash enough. This is coming up so that she can really again trust in this connection, to trust in the divine, because the divine is really going to be leading her into territories unknown. And this is again happening so that she can really descend deeper into love, so that she can be more heart based. So let me go to the end of January. The end of January is going to be much easier. Again, I feel as though the beginning and middle were preparation. The divine feminine is going to be jumping timelines around the 20th to the 23rd, and I feel as though this is because I feel as though she's again having to level up. I do see around this time the divine feminine is really going to be healing the inner teenager from the 20th to the 31st. And the reason why the inner teenager is going to be healed is because the divine feminine really at least needs to let go of residual. I'm hearing residual is key here, because it's going to feel like you're unhealed when you really feel this feelings of rejection, betrayal, and one more word, disappointment. All that is coming up, and I feel as though again some of you are going to actually develop like, I'm going to say develop, but you'll be feeling like you're in fear-based energy toward the end. And I feel as though this is because you're letting go of that particular trauma that was stored in your trauma body. And the more you actually let go of that, the further away that the further away that the fears will be. So what's really happening right now is, again, like what's leading up to like the end of January, is that you are really being called to really divine feminine. You're really being called to really remain anchored in the fact that things are happening for the connection, that you're going to be experiencing the massive shift. And like I said, the end of January will be a time of preparation. So you are really going to be going deep into the psyche and really reprogramming your inner teenager at a very deep level, because your inner teenager holds the perception of relationships. Your inner teenager holds the uh, for, blueprint for your self concept. So I feel as though there's going to be massive work around the self concept for the divine feminine from the 23rd to the 27th. And the reason why this is happening is so the divine feminine can really be consistent in the new story. That again, love is happening for her, that she's always chosen and prioritized. All that is coming up so that the divine feminine could again really trust and love. Because again, as she really heals her anxious slash disorganized attachment style, this is really going to push the divine feminine to really, not go into a push and pull, to not go into a state of like like, overthinking. Hang on. Thanks, Myra. I was just about to say someone going in a group and tell. So, so yeah, that push and pull. Again, many of you might be feeling a push and pull with your twin right now, and again, it's not that you want to feel that way. It's like that push and pull, like you don't exactly know where it's coming from. If that is you, if you feel that so strongly, you're gonna have luck at the end of January. You're gonna figure out the root of that. And I feel as though I'm hearing expect the unexpected, because it's not gonna be what you think it is. It's going to be very like take you off guard, but it's also gonna make a lot of sense too. I see tons of divine feminines having major breakthroughs about where that push and pull causes them to push away the divine masculine, even though they want to, like, have that closeness and everything with them. So I feel as though this is what the divine feminine is really working on at the end of January. She is really working on dismantling that push and pull and really trusting that love is safe and love is not painful. Again, she is really going to be reprogramming her nervous system to really, again, anchor in this divine love. So that's what I get for Divine Feminine. So now I'm going to be going into Divine Masculine for January. Early January for Divine Masculine is all about self-discovery. The Divine, hey, what's up, Annabelle? Divine Masculine is really going to be going within in early January. Again, some of you guys might be feeling your Divine Masculine is dry and detached. This is why. Again, Divine Masculine is really going through a lot of cathartic releasing that is stemming from Yule. Yule had brought up a lot of abandonment and rejection trauma for them to sift through. And I feel as though the early January will really cause the Divine Masculine to really process and transmute all this. So Divine Masculine will be in and out of your energy for early January, and the reason why is, like I said, he's going within, he's getting all the major breakthroughs, he's healing himself at a very deep level, and he's letting go of those fears and reservations he has around potentially not being enough and being chosen by you. Again, he is really healing this at a deep level. He is really letting go of that old story that he's not being chosen or prioritized, realizing that he self-sabotaged the connection with divine feminine in many ways. Like, he thought that he saw the self-sabotaging, but he's starting to see that there were things that he overlooked, things that he thought were the norm were actually dysfunction. So I feel as though divine masculine will really be working on his inner child throughout early January as well. He is going to be letting go of his fear of abandonment. He is going to be letting go of his fear of rejection, and this is really going to push the divine masculine out of that state of overthinking. And this is really big for divine masculines who have been in their head about how to contact their divine feminine for a very long time. So some of you might be feeling your divine masculine on a precipice, just about to reach out. And again, this is because you are, like, again, feeling the energy. So if you feel like your divine masculine's on that fence about reaching out to you, I feel as though, again, you're picking up on the overthinking. Again, they want to make movement. It's just that they are having a lot of fears and reservations that are tied to an inner child. But the good news is that in early January, they will be really getting to the bottom of that particular trigger. A lot of divine masculines are going to be letting go of that fear of not being enough and that fear of not being chosen. Again, this is going to be really, really deep. For the divine masculines who are just barely starting out, they're getting to your root. Like, if your divine masculine's working at inner child, he's going to be getting root to the inner child. But if he's been on this journey longer, he will be going even deeper in that. Like, in some cases, some divine masculines are going ancestral or past lives, depending on how evolved they are on the journey. Again, the ones who are, like, been away for 1-2 years, they're going to really work on that inner child. Again, because that's, again, I feel like, again, that really doesn't matter, because, again, the divine masters are really going deep to the root of a particular trigger in relation to the fear of not being enough. So I'm seeing around the 7th or the 8th, the divine masculine will be very, very over emotional. Again, a lot of anger and anxiety coming up. And that is him letting go of the timeline that he was on. That is him letting go of those fears and reservations he has around not being like enough for the divine feminine. Again, he is going to really transmuting his um his repressed emotions stored in his sacral chakra. So some divine feminines might feel this massive release of the sacral chakra around the 7th and the 9th. So if you feel your sacral act very heavy around that time, you're picking up on your divine masculine, releasing a lot of repressed anger, sadness, and grief. Again, this is really going to push them into their dark masculine. I see the divine masculine really healing his dark masculine from the 7th to the 11th. Again, he is really going really deep in his psyche right now. And at this moment, he is peeling back the layers of the ego that he thought was him. He's starting to see beneath the conditioning that he is still not trusting love, that he's still, like, shrinking himself in many ways. But the divine masculine is again taking full accountability of this. He is healing at a very deep level. And again, as he heals at a deep level, he is letting go of all those the fear-based thinking. Divine masculine is going to be shifting out of that state of overthinking. He's going to be more in the soul, so to say. He's no longer going to be so reacted toward fear-based thinking like he was. He's going to be stepping back and seeing a higher perspective. So as the divine masculine challenges this limited thinking and he starts to find a rationality in how he thinks, this is really pushing the divine masculine to again, go really deep. Again, like I said, he's going to be making a lot of breakthroughs, especially around the 7th and the 10th. And to the 7th and the 10th is again really major breakthroughs for the divine masculine. So some of you are going to be feeling really huge shifts in your divine masculine energy around this time, and it's meant to happen because again, divine masculine is releasing a lot of stagnant energy. Again, this is why he's gone with them. This is why he is again soul searching and going through his period of self discovery right now in the beginning of January, because again he is calling BS on all what he believes, and he's really getting to the bottom of particular triggers. So let me go to the middle of mid January. So mid January is going to be big for divine masculine. Divine masculine around the 111 portal on the 11th is going to be releasing past life trauma related to duty and obligation. And this is really going to blast open the divine masculine's heart space. So some of you guys have already been feeling the heart space expansions from the divine masculine, but it's going to be much more intense if the divine allows you to feel that. Some of you are going to really be feeling that your heart is breaking into a million pieces around the 111 port on the 11th. You may be feeling like you just can't go on, and it feels like this is your divine masculine really releasing all that massive depression and sadness and fear that was stored in a heart chakra. Again, the heart chakra is going through a massive expansion, and this is really causing him to really look at more fear-based programming. So the divine masculine, we're really peeling back the layers of his ego even more, and he's going to actually see what limited beliefs he's been carrying around for past lifetimes. And again, he's really going to go in deep into his subconscious work. And as he goes into his subconscious, he's going to really let go of even more repressed emotion. Again, it will be emotionally bumpy for divine masculine for the 11th to the 15th. And again, this is because he's going to be transmuting a lot of pain around like trusting love, around trusting the divine. And again, he's really going to be going deep. And as he goes deep, this is going to cause him to really go through a voluntary ego death. Again, I feel as a lot of divine masculines are going to be letting go of a lot of preconceived emotions. They're going to be letting go of a lot of fear-based thinking that they didn't even know was still in the background. And I feel as the divine masculine heals the rift between his heart and his headspace, he is becoming more love-based. He's becoming more in the heart. And because he's becoming more in the heart, this is causing the divine masculine to really, again, see the bigger picture. Again, he would not be in that state of reactiveness. He would not be in that state of ego like he once was. Again, I feel as though divine masculine is really working on his fear of not being enough, which caused them to internalize help from the divine feminine or even suggestions as a attack on his abilities in general. Like, he internalized that as him not being enough and him being a failure. But like I said, divine masculine is really going to be expanding where he no longer sees us thinking. He is going to be expanding and again really working on again being teachable. And as this causes him to really go deep within, this is causing the divine masculine to really let go of a lot of false beliefs about himself. And again, his heart is, like I said, it's going to expand. His sacral is going to expand. Again, the sacral is going to be really like acting up around the 17th to the 19th. And again, this is a lot of heavy emotion related to the inner child. I feel massive inner child clearing for the 17th and the 19th. Again, the divine masculine is really going to be letting go of that false belief that love is sacrifice. Again, love is hard. And as he really lets go of this causes him to really again be more safe in his heart space. He is going to be going through heavy nervous system reprogramming from the 16th to the 19th. And as the divine masculine reprograms himself to feel safe in his body, this is allowing him to again navigate the world from a heart-centered way of thinking. So yeah, that's what I get for the middle. Let me do the end now. So for the end of January, this is going to be really big for the divine masculine. I feel as though the 20th to the 25th are going to be really big. There's going to be really big healing on the root chakra, and that really has to do with survival mode. So divine masculine will really be working on survival mode for throughout the end of January. And again, he is going to be really working on reprogramming his body to feel safe with all these vast changes, to feel safe transitioning. Because as divine masculine quantum leads to that new reality, he is starting to feel his body like, act up. But I feel as though around this time, the divine masculine would be well aware that his triggers are causing him to, engage in, the fear-based thinking. But he will be really working on his fear-based thinking around this time. He will be pushing through the thinking that causes him to self-sabotage, that causes him to self-sacrifice. And as he heals this at a deep level, the divine masculine is, again, taking a lot of paradigms um in thinking, and I feel as though as he ends up expanding in his consciousness, things that he once resonated, like love is um choosing the heart over not choosing the heart over duty. Again, this is not going to resonate for him anymore. So if your divine masculine still has a problem around duty and obligation around this time, again, I feel like this is going to melt away, because the divine masculine is going to see this futility around trying to sacrifice themselves in the name of duty. Again, really massive duty and obligation trauma is going to be cleared for the divine masculine in the end of January. And as the divine masculine ends up reprogramming himself to choose himself on an even deeper level, this is pushing him even deeper into his heart space. And as he heals his survivalist mentality, this is really pushing the divine masculine to really again push past his own limitations, to push past his fears about being enough. Again, it has nothing to do with the divine feminine at this point. It has to do with his capabilities to navigate the world as his healed self. Again, he has a lot of fears and reservations around this, but I feel as though these are going to be quieted around the 26th. And the reason why is because divine masculine is going to make some huge breakthrough on the 24th or the 25th, and it has to do with really following one's heart, because again, divine masculine is still learning how to follow his heart. He is still learning how to factor in the emotions instead of compartmentalizing it in favor of logic. Again, as the divine masculine really works on this, he is going to be reprogramming himself to really listen to his anima more. So there will be huge intuition blocks being cleared at the end of January for the divine masculine. His intuition is going to be much stronger. His intuition is going to be much more powerful. And because of that, I feel as though if you're in communication with your divine masculine, you will be seeing evidence of this. But also, if you're not in communication, you get downloads and progress about his journey, you're going to be really seeing the divine masculine really be connected. But I feel as though a lot of divine masculines are going to be clearing inner child trauma around people pleasing around this time. And this is really major because as the divine masculine steps into his dark masculine even more, this is pushing the divine masculine to really trust in his heart. I mean, in his heart, to really trust that it's guiding him right. To really trust that, again, the heart is able to be trusted. Because I feel as though around this time his ego would still be trying to kick in, but I see Divine Masculine being really self disciplined and not really paying attention to the ego like he once did. He's really going to be trusting in his um inner knowing, and I feel as though again this is going to really be sending deep healing. So as the Divine Masculine really lets go of like the attachment to the old version of him, he makes a lot of breakthroughs about where logic was actually fear in disguise. This is going to really cause him to really be adamant about, like, non engaging in fear based thinking. Again, Divine Master is going to be really pushing past his limitations. And as he pushes past his limitations, he's really going to be really like trusting his heart above all. And that's what I get for Divine Masculine. So, yeah, that is the energy update. Does anybody have, like, here's a discussion. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, please. Uh, mm. Hello, Wendy. Hello, Annabom. Hello, Vishiska. Hi, Esme. Hi, Myra. Hi, Valeria. Getting to you guys. If I didn't say hi already. So, yeah. Myra, you don't have anything? Or Esme? Yeah. Everything reasoning. Mine has duty healing to you. Yes. So yes, duty healing. So again, that's good because again, there is a could be huge emphasis on duty and obligation healing done for divine feminine and divine masculine collectively. This is very good energy, and like I've been telling you guys for a while, January and February are going to be a lot smoother than like the last couple months of 2025. And again, these are really stages of preparation. Again, January is all about duty and obligation. So it makes sense that this would actually just build up to something. So I wonder what February will be like. But again, when February comes, I will be channeling into that. So, yes, I'm putting this up on here so that you guys can look at it you guys can look at it in the past. So yes, don't worry if you got in late. Don't worry, this will be uploaded, and um, so I'm hoping that would be him. He yes. So his dark again, there's a huge emphasis on dark masculine and dark feminine, and that's really why it makes sense that the duty and obligation will be clear, so that the divine feminine and divine masculine can be free. So one thing you have to remember is that he is really pulling your energy right now because he is thinking of breaking the silence. Again, he's really thinking of breaking the silence. So I feel like what you really need to do, Esme, is to really trust that again that like if you know it's meant to be you, you will be having that calm and clarity. You will be feeling guided. But if you don't feel that, then I would say again, it is Ricardo actually pulling on your energy. And it's him really overthinking all the possible scenarios. But like I said, I see Ricardo's gonna be shifting out of that like in a couple days. So again, it's just something that's passing through. But I feel like you will hear from him sometime this month. Yes. Yes, you're welcome. You don't have any questions on Bridget? You don't have any questions, Bridget? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you're feeling that currently. So if there's like no fear or anxiety there and just calmness and such, I would say to act on it. But like I said, like it's the early January and Ricardo is yeah. So like I said, like again, yeah. So mine's heavily into medication these steps. So like I said, this dry energy that everybody's kids collectively divine masculines have been acting dry. So like I said, early January just depicted why. And so again, like yes, he does want to talk to me. Oh, so yeah. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I don't think so. I appreciate the confirmation. Inner teenager trauma being healed. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. So I thought I would ask. You never know. Like I said, there's no such thing. Like maybe you guys have a lot of like questions, and I'm gonna say if you've been feeling your divine masculine really wanted to contact you, like I said, like I would just say like if you feel that it should contact you, make sure it's coming from clarity and calmness, not from anxiety and fear. And again, like I said, divine masculines are reaching out, like reaching out, like over these next couple of months. So, so yeah, like I said, like but right now, I would say that not now the time now because again, they're really doing a lot of healing. And um, again, like if you, like I said, the dryness and the like think overthinking. Like again, I'm gonna say like if you do reach out and I say their energy's going to be dry, and it's not because they're rejecting it. It's not because they're being cold and distant. It's simply because they're really going through a lot of integrations around this time, and it really is causing them to really expend all that energy into making this transition. Again, like if you do still have triggers around like rejection or something, my best advice is not to reach out, but to like really allow this energy to pass. Again, you wouldn't know. So I've been very tired as well. So yeah, I think I'm going to wrap up the stream. Thank you very much for tuning in. See you another time. Namaste.